Senator Peterson, you wish the floor on the bill? Come on down.
I guess. I don't know. Do we need a children's budget? Not listed as a budget.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to the HB1. In 14 years of my service here in the legislature, I've never voted against a budget. I recognize the hard work, and I want to recognize it now, the hard work of the staff here and all the Senate staff, all the division, and everybody's interest in trying to do the right thing. However, I believe that what we have in front of us is a budget by default. At the beginning of this session, we talked about a lot of solutions, and there were a lot of things that would offer us the revenues necessary to meet the needs of this state. State government needs to be funded. The only way that it is funded is through tax dollars. Everybody's salary in here, in this chamber, in this building, all around Baton Rouge and throughout our state, if there's a state government service, whether it's a road being built, a hospital being run, children and family services, environmental quality, whatever it is, it has to be paid for. And the only way to pay for that is with taxes. This state has a revenue problem that is being ignored. Now, there was a directive that was told to all of us as members of one of 3 branches of government at the beginning of this session that if we send to the 4th floor, to the desk of the governor, anything that increases revenues to meet the needs of state government, it would be rejected. That has been hanging over all of us the entire session. And so it's caused us to have to back up and reevaluate good, sound policy for revenues in a different way because of the fear of what might happen when a bill that might make sense to cover the expenses of state government, what would happen if it got there. And so it caused us, many of us, not to vote for some of those initiatives, knowing the outcome, understanding that that would come to pass. A budget is a moral document. It sends a strong message to the people that we serve. And this message, I think, is a budget, as I said, of default. I think that it's very irresponsible. Instead of setting the state on a long-term sound footing and financial footing, financially responsible, it does just the opposite. We are robbing Peter to pay Paul. We have tapped almost every fund that we have told the people we would protect, whether it's coastal restoration, agriculture, fisheries, it doesn't matter. None of them were sacred. Thank goodness we were able to save the $100 million in my district for the fund for the convention center because tourism is so important. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that. But you know what? There are a lot of other funds that are important to the communities in your district that got tapped, that shouldn't have gotten tapped. We should have done it a different way. We're playing a game with the people of this state, a game I've never seen in 14 years, and I'm not going to play it. By balancing our budget with one-time dollars, now it might sound familiar, this might sound familiar. I'm not a fiscal hawk, and I've never had this rhetoric. But what I'm seeing repeated is something counter to what this administration said for the first 2 years, that we shouldn't use all of these one-time monies to fund a budget. But that is exactly what we're doing today. We raided all these special accounts with all kind of accounting tricks and federal dollars in some instances. But it does not project stability for our state finances. I think a lot of us know that, particularly those of us that are in business and know numbers. It duct tapes the holes in our ship just to make it seaworthy. Just enough time for this bill to get out of here before June 6th. We can do better. We should do better. It doesn't present a vision for a better Louisiana. We're fighting rear guard actions to prevent even more devastating cuts to our most vital institutions of higher education and health care. We're harming ourselves. We're going to look back, and those that come after us are going to look back and say, what were those legislators thinking? We're hemming ourselves, and so that we only have not good and great, but bad and worse options to choose from. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to act irresponsibly in this representative form of government by raiding funds and moving money around just on paper when it's not even real money. PPPs. We don't have to leave so many opportunities on the table to help Louisiana when we know we can do better because we've done it before. We've been in the trenches, we've had hard times, and we've come out of it because we've all worked together. I know what's in your hearts. And I know you too, like me, want something better. We are going to have to stand up as a separate and co-equal branch of government and do something different and better for the people of this state. But this is a trap, and it's a trap of our own design. We've painted ourselves into a corner, and now we are desperately struggling and seeking a way out. I have to stand in opposition to HB 1. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Peterson, you wish to speak on the bill now?
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I rise in objection to HB 1. First of all, the fact that we don't know how much money we have to spend, it's quite irresponsible to pass a budget without knowing how much money you have. I'm told there's about over $24 billion in the budget, and according to Chairman Donahue, that money is based on the votes that we took on multiple revenue-raising measures that have been sent to the House. I don't disagree that the revenue-raising measures that have been sent to the House may reflect. Nobody has those accurate numbers. I understand that either the fiscal office or the Louisiana Budget Project, the fiscal office just put out today, and told us what we did. Because on Saturday, what we did nobody could tell me exactly what numbers were associated with each of those bills. If Webster's wanted to add to the definition of irresponsibility, they could put the Louisiana Senate in there right now. And the reason is, no one can argue with me that it's irresponsible to pass a budget not knowing how much money you have. And today, we don't know how much money we have. So why would we pass a budget not knowing how much money we have? Well, I'm told that it's the process, Karen. Just vote on it. Just vote on it, and we'll get there between now and Thursday. That's not how it works. When you write a check, it's not supposed to bounce. Senator Donahue runs big business. A lot of people in here run big businesses. Do you write a check, or you pass a budget at the beginning of the year, of your fiscal year in your business, with inadequate revenues, with the hope and the prayer to save face in the end? With the hope and the prayer to save face in the end. No, you don't do that. The other reason I'm objecting to HB 1, that's the first reason. The second reason that I'm objecting to HB 1 is because I actually agree with the current governor with his position before he flip-flopped in 2007 and I believe 2008. At the time, Commissioner Angel, last name, Davis. Commissioner Angel Davis, I was serving in the House Appropriations at the time, and she came to the table repeatedly and said, we shouldn't use one-time monies for recurring expenditures. And that's all we've been doing. We've been robbing Peter to pay Paul. This budget reflects so many new taxes and fees on people without a sustainable course for Louisiana to move forward. Now, when we get home in the fall, we're going to talk to people about what we've done. And we're going to try to be proud. We're going to act as though we're proud that we just got through to June 11th. And on June 12th, 13th, 14th, and beyond through October, we're going to feed them a crock of you-know-what. We will say anything to pass a bill. We will say anything to get elected. But the good news is, this time, Louisiana citizens are paying attention. And they're going to hold us all accountable. At what point do you say no to irresponsibility? Why do we want to be known? You see how bad they talk about us? Senator Martini was talking about how bad they talk about us when it comes to ethics and not doing the right thing and no enforcement. They talk about us pretty bad with this fiscal nightmare that we've created for ourselves. Let's try to get it right. This isn't it. This is completely irresponsible. It does not reflect our values. It doesn't reflect who we are as a people. And we can do better. We can do better. We must do better. We will do better. Does that sound familiar? 2007. Opening act.
Senator Peterson.
Question.
Thank you, Mr. Acting President. Members, I echo a little bit of some of Senator Morell's comments, some of the questions I asked the chairman. While I respect the role that he has, and certainly he has been very diligent in the process, he too agrees. He stood here as he answered questions from members of this body and agreed that this isn't the best budget and agreed that this isn't what he ideally liked to do, but he felt like the budget, voting for the budget and presenting the budget to you would give you the ability, as you vote for it, to share with the House and with the public the priorities of the Senate. I think that there's a better way, and I don't think that we should vote for a budget that is giving false hope to so many people in need. Every budget, yes, is a moral document. We had protesters in this body yesterday screaming that it was an immoral document to pass. I agree with them. I agree that if we were to pass this budget, that it does not reflect our values. And it doesn't, and we know it doesn't, and that is why we're ending this session on Friday. We're ending it with the intention of trying to come back for the 5th time and trying to pass more revenue to actually meet all the needs of state government, not to just go through an exercise in futility, which we just did. Because the reason we probably handled this in global and didn't go section by section is because we're just trying to get out of here and move the process along. And that is not responsible. We shouldn't pass a document that the front pages of the paper will say tomorrow, Senate passes budget HB1, which now funds health care, but inadequately funds higher education, K through 12, and all the rest of state government. So we just shifting the scales when we know it's inadequate. It's not fair. It's not fair to the people that we serve. And it's evidenced by ending the session on Friday. And we have in the call, the governor has included in the call, the ability to pass a budget that reflects whatever revenue is raised or not raised. So this is just an exercise in futility. And I don't think we should send it out of here. I think we should wait until next Tuesday, see if we can raise revenue again. If we can't, okay, and then pass a budget that needs to be passed by June 30th. That is the reason we're having a special session, to deal with all of that in over 30 days. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or somebody can enlighten me as to why we have to pass on this today. But when I talk privately, it's not the same thing that I hear publicly. Well, we just need to go through this. We just need to get through this, send something back to the House so they can stop holding up Senate bills and House appropriations and move some of the bills that really should be moved, because there's this gamesmanship going on. We can't get Senate bills to move over there unless HB1 gets sent to them. It's foolishness, and people deserve better. It's absolute foolishness. and irresponsible. I don't blame the leadership. People feel like they're against the wall and they can't do anything else. We don't know how to deal with those characters over there. We don't know what else to do. We don't know what else to do. So we pass something to appease them when we know it's not real. We know none of this is going to be effectuated. And you want to blame the governor for sending out notices for the reality that we face after 2.5 years not doing anything. It's our fault. I own my piece of it. I own my piece of it. I've been here for 18 years and we haven't done what we should have done. I'm a member of this body and I own whatever responsibility goes with the legislature not passing a budget and the amount of money to adequately fund government. I encourage you, I ask you, I beg you, do not give the public false hope. Do not pass this bill. Do not pass this bill. We're coming back anyway. Let's do it right and not create this farce and not send out a document that none of you want to own. Next year, if you're up for re-election, you're going to go back and tell people you're proud of the budget you passed? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Please don't vote for this budget.
Senator Peterson, do you want to speak on the bill before we adopt the bill?
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I rise in opposition to no longer HB 1, HB 105. I rise in opposition because we are passing a budget which I believe is a moral document. We've now voted against 3 amendments that are completely inconsistent and I think hypocritical to the women of this state. So I'm not voting for this bill. Maybe if it gets out of here, when it gets out of here, the House will reject what we send them and send it back, and I'll have a chance to vote for it. And maybe the administration can do a better job of matching the rhetoric and the dictate on women and their bodies with the priorities in this bill. Because we need to either educate women on the front end, provide health care, prenatal health care better and increase that funding on the front end, or at a minimum increase money for foster care, adoption, and taking care of them once they're born. We've done nothing. So the priorities that were established before the bill was signed are the same priorities that exist in this supposedly moral document, budget, as it was before the law and the bill was signed. The chairman of the committee has done a lot of hard work along with the committee, but this was not considered in any serious way. The implications and the consequences associated with forcing a woman to have a child against their will. Every time it was rejected, there was an objection to an amendment. Every amendment, without real thought. I object. What are we doing? What are we doing? People want to talk about religious beliefs. I'm Catholic. And I respect women. I'm Catholic. I don't walk around here telling you what happens in my church. Because it's not the place. This is not church. It's nice to pray. It's nice to honor the people who have left us. But this is not church. This is not where I tell you because I'm Catholic. I don't tell a Muslim. I don't tell a Jew. I don't tell someone of a different religious belief what to do with their body. This is not the place for that. We want to waive it and put it in every law until it comes time to really be pro-life. Then we don't show up. and we don't show up. Pretty sad day in Louisiana. I hope you vote against this bill.